There are shows in this world that we will never fully understand, except Ghost Adventures. We have watched every episode to build our obsession, our fandom.
Watching alongside each other because no one we know really gives a damn. Watching Zach and crew catch groundbreaking proof of the paranormal, inspiring us to explore our own interest in otherworldly phenomena. This is our podcast. We are Paranormal Putas.
Hey everybody, it's me, Leah.
And it's me, Bethany.
And we are here with a brand new episode of Paranormal Putas. We know you've been waiting for it.
So this season we went to Yorktown Memorial Hospital, which was fucking badass that it worked out that way because we reviewed Yorktown Memorial Hospital episode of Ghost Adventures.
Oh yeah. But it's real interesting that you're bringing up our visit to Yorktown. Could it mean it's our investigation episode?
Yes, it is.
We are super excited to talk about our experience at Yorktown Memorial Hospital in Yorktown, Texas, for multiple reasons. So I don't know, let's get into it.
Well, like I said, it was just so perfect.
It really was.
You know, we're in season 5, and we call it season 5 because we follow the Ghost Adventure seasons. And in season 5 Ghost Adventures, they went to Yorktown Memorial Hospital.
It was amazing.
And it was just like meant to be. It was just fated. And another thing that was kind of fated was that we went on a Curious Twins Paranormal tour.
Yeah,
haunted
man.
tour at Yorktown because they do them pretty regularly. And so it was just like our worlds colliding.
All the planets, all the stars were aligned for this moment, and it really felt that way. It was a really cool experience, and of course we want to walk y'all through our day and our time there and what really went down at Yorktown.
Yeah, let's go ahead and start off with some of the history. So as I've said about 100 times already, it's called Yorktown Memorial Hospital. Don't you forget it. It is in Yorktown, Texas. Mm-hmm. It was built in 1951, and it was run by the Felician Sisters of the Roman Catholic Church. Now, if you listen to our episode of Yorktown, we said all this shit already.
Yeah, so we're not going to do that, you know?
Well, yeah, because if they didn't listen to it, they're here now. Ya ding dong. How about you go back and fucking listen to it? But if you don't want to, that's fine. It's okay. So, yeah, the Felician Sisters were some nuns, you know, if you didn't catch that. They're nuns of the Roman Catholic Church, and they got a bunch of grants and like donations and shit to get this hospital built because there was no hospital in Yorktown. The closest one is about 2 hours away in San Antonio.
Yeah.
So, you know, if your leg got cut off or you're like, you know, dying of, I don't know, some bullshit, man. Like a 2-hour ride is really not ideal. So there was like, we got to get a hospital out here. So they built it in 1951, but then it closed down in 1986. And in 1986, it became a drug rehab facility until 1992.
Word. And I think really that's like the bulk of the history we're probably going to cover because we're going to have special guests on the show to give you a little more in depth with the history.
Yeah, that's really it.
That's really
it.
And
honestly, they kind of say some of the same stuff because that's really it. You know, like it was just a hospital, you know, and it became a rehab facility, and then now it's abandoned, and now the Curious Twins go and do fucking ghost tours there.
Oh yeah.
There was some interesting stuff that happened in this place. Stuff which I don't think they go over. Yorktown is said to be like one of the more haunted places in Texas, and one of the more popular stories about what happened in Yorktown is about a double murder. So the story goes is that one of the nurses was having an affair with a patient, and her boyfriend caught them. He caught them cheating down in like the boiler room area. I think we called it the basement in our last episode. But anyways, so the boyfriend sees her cheating with this patient, and he goes fucking mad with rage, murderous rage. And he goes and he fucking murders her. And then he goes to kill the lover, but then somehow the lover, like, you know, gets the weapon and kills the boyfriend. And then, you know, lover dissipates into the wind. I don't know. Like,
yeah, it's really weird.
We're not really sure what happens to him, but there's blood splatter on the wall down there that is still there. Like, you can still see it. We saw it with our own eyes. And in our episode of Ghost Adventures, we talked about, well, at least I was very skeptical of it. I was like, y'all fucking painted that shit on there.
Yeah, well, because it kind of looks like finger paint. Like, I don't know. I've never, personally seen the scene of a murder, but I also would imagine it to be a little less clean. I don't know. The blood on the wall is just a little sus for me.
Yeah, I don't know. But then, you know, on one hand, I'm still suspicious of it. On the other hand, I'm like, well, you know what? If Fred and Steven, you know, say that it's legit, I'm more inclined to believe it over Zach saying that it's
that's
real,
true.
You know?
They will,
Because they did take us down into that basement and they showed us the little blood splatter, and we got to look at it real close.
Yeah. So it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the history and one of the more popular stories of the ghosts there. So you want to get into it, just, you know, how it came about in our day and all that junk.
I'm trying to remember, because this was a little while ago, but I think the day started out, it was a lovely day trip down to Yorktown, and we were very excited about it. We actually I think we were so excited we got there a little too early, and we got to pull over and take a nap by a cemetery. Do you remember that?
Oh my God.
That was lovely. Yeah, we took like a 30-minute nap.
Yeah, we pulled over at a cemetery close by.
I was like, oh, this looks nice and peaceful. So we took our little nap, and then we rolled up. So it was really cool, because when we pull up, everybody's gathering, because like we mentioned, we did this on a tour with Curious Twins, and it was just everybody really excited. So we're kind of building up energy before we go into the building. Fred and Steven setting us up for success. They actually offer like investigating tools, and it was really cool. So they break it down, and then we get down to it, like floor by floor, which I thought was really cool too. So they take us all through the house. Each floor, you get the history. And then when it comes time to investigate, they break everybody up in groups. So that way there's not a lot of people on the same floor. So that way you get a more intimate experience. And it was really cool.
Yeah. When you went in there, did you feel like anything weird? Did you feel that it was, you know, extra haunted or anything like that?
No, not really, but it was like, because the building looks like it does, and it's like, it's the perfect setting for a haunted building. Like you look at it and you're like, yeah, that place is haunted, but walking into it, I didn't feel like, oh yeah, this is for sure haunted.
Yeah. Honestly, going through it, it was creepy. Again, just like you said, visually it is like, ooh, this place is creepy.
Yeah.
But like feelings wise, I didn't feel shit until the end.
Yeah.
Which we get into with our interview here later on. But I would like to give a little bit of an extra shout out.
Do it.
To, what's that gas station? Big Texas?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, Big Texas gas station. Big Texas, yeah.
Gas station. It is the only good place in Yorktown. If you go, stop at the gas station. It's like their version of Buc-ee's. It's way tiny, but it's got everything you need.
Yeah, it's true.
And it made me happy. Also, shout out to Curious Twins for providing Little Debbie snacks.
Oh, they really did. They had that snickerdoodle something. Dude, that was so good.
And they also provide like everything you need, like a toolkit, EMF detectors, EP recorders, dowsing rods, like, you know, all of the accoutrement. So yeah, it was really cool. But yeah, man, I didn't really feel anything. Yeah. Pretty much the whole time. And like, we spent time in like the nuns' quarters.
Yeah.
We spent time in the little chapel.
Yeah.
We spent time in that fucking bloody basement and in like a weird cage in a room. Yeah, it was a wild time.
It was a wild time. I think for me, the most intense place, even before like it goes down and we share the juicy stuff, was the cathedral or the chapel, the little, like that place. So like church already freaks me out. Like it's one of the scariest places for me anyway. But sitting in that room was really uneasy throughout the tour and everything. But it was also really cool to be there because that's where Zach took off his shirt.
Yeah, we took our own photos of us like pretending to be Zach there. It was great. And also special shout out to the Ghost Adventure signature on the wall.
Oh yeah, we did get to see where Zach and crew signed on the Yorktown wall. I think we looked for that first. Like when they set us free, I was like, I'm gonna find these signatures, baby.
Yeah. We did. We found it pretty quick. It was great. It was really, really cool to see that in person. It was great. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. I feel like with this particular investigation, because it was basically just like up the street, you know, it was only a couple hours out. It was a 1-day thing. There really wasn't a lot to really go over, you know, and the history is pretty quick. So we're gonna go ahead and get into our interview. We had the Curious Twins, Fred and Steven, on to talk about our experience at Yorktown. Woo-woo!
Hey, everybody. So excited to have Fred and Steven of Curious Twins with us here today. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hi. Welcome back.
We're excited to be here.
So we know we're here today to discuss Yorktown Memorial Hospital. Ooh. And this is a place that y'all are very familiar with. So I was hoping, because Bethany and I would say recently, but at this point it's been a couple months, right? Like, we had the opportunity to investigate with you guys during a tour, and we definitely want to talk about that. But we were hoping you could let our listeners know a little bit about Yorktown and kind of what's happened and what y'all do there.
Yeah. You want to start off?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I will say that on our way over to Yorktown, we have listened to your episode that you have done on the Ghost Adventures, episode over there. And y'all have done a really good job of explaining the history and going over that stuff. For sure. So it's always a good reminder for us. It's always a lot of fun to hear your voices on the way over to Yorktown, because Yorktown is a really interesting city. It is. It's a small town. It's an oil town. Fred has a lot of interesting history about like the origins of the city, but just overview of the hospital itself is that it was originally opened in 1951. And it opened at a time where there was a need for a hospital in Yorktown, because being in the middle of a cluster of small towns, the nearest one was in San Antonio, which for us, today is about an hour and a half, depending on where you are in the city. So there was a huge need for it. There was the Korean War going on at that time. And it was started by the Catholic Church, and it was run by the Felician Sisters of the Catholic Church. And there was a lot of fundraisers going on, a lot of grants that they got, including a grant from the Ford Motor Company. So it was a huge community effort to get that hospital there. And we also recently found out that the architect is pretty significant as well. He has done several churches, and including one church that's in Fredericksburg, Texas. So really interesting architectural history with the building. And it was eventually abandoned. It was eventually rather turned into a drug rehab facility in 1986. And it was that for a few years up until 1992. And it's been abandoned ever since. We have explored it several times for many, many years. And it is a really, really interesting property, but I'll let Fred kind of fill in any of the blanks that I didn't share.
All right. You did great. Thank you for sharing all of that, Stephen. So I think one of the interesting things about this particular property is that it has a history that's related to, I guess, scandal in a lot of ways, malpractice. There was a physician that worked for a long time that, malpractice was just something he kind of got away with. It wasn't there wasn't a lot of check-ins in a small town. There wasn't a lot of people kind of watchdogging, this position. And, there were several deaths that were probably unnecessary, infections, amputations that went wrong, so I think that in itself, like, it makes it perfect for an abandoned, haunted structure when you have like this mad kind of doctor that used to work there and is no longer living. I think it's just a interesting story.
Yeah, no, and I think it's really cool. Really quick, what Steven mentioned about the architecture, like I didn't know that. That's news to us as well, and that's really interesting because this place has a very church-like feeling. Of course, it has the cathedral, or like that little section, which was really creepy for us, and but it was ran by nuns too, right? So that's
it was the Felician sisters, and the guy was Leo M. Dillman, and he was the architect, and he did a lot of stuff at the Catholic Church. He built churches. He was very, very close with the Catholic Church. So I think it's kind of interesting, another like layer of mystery there. But he was also from San Antonio.
Very cool. That's awesome to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that vibe you give it with like, the mad doctor malpractice. But you get that residual energy,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, it's just a creepy place. Just the way it looks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Some of the rooms definitely give that vibe that like some fucked up shit happened right here. Like it was very spooky space. Yeah.
And y'all are there pretty often, right?
Yeah, so like twice every quarter, usually we're there, and then sometimes we do private. So if somebody is interested in going out there without a big group, we'll meet them out there and do a private with them too. So yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's such a like big space. I can't imagine doing private because me and Leah did the group tour.
Yeah,
and there were moments where we were alone. So even with the big group tour, it still feels very intimate.
For sure. Yeah, it's a big space.
Yeah, and we try to do that because we know that there are people who are very serious about investigation on our tours. And we try to separate people into different groups so that there's not everybody on top of each other. And we have found that has been a good method, and people have been able to pick up on interesting things, have interesting experiences. And there's not ever a time that we go with a group of people and nothing happens. There's usually something that happens. Somebody will experience something that is pretty significant, and that's one of the reasons why we love this property, is that it is consistently active, and it's abandoned, which just makes it so much creepier and very cool to just go and walk the halls. And I think y'all said there was a residual energy there for sure, and we feel that every time that we go. And it can be pretty intense for people, and we tend to tell people, take breaks, because the energy in there can be pretty heavy, and it can affect you.
Yeah, I remember you actually saying that at the tour, that you were like, I don't spend as much time in there, because you were outside, kind of telling people that I've got snacks, take a break, bring some water.
So we appreciate that too. Yes, thank you for looking out for us.
For sure.
So I want to know, what some of like, I don't know, I guess the standout experiences that you two have had on the property.
I think the first kind of experience that I had in that property was, I think probably maybe the second time we went and did a tour. We'd heard things, we'd had interesting EVPs, definitely felt stuff. But that second time we went in, and it's a habit at night that I will go through every single floor to make sure nobody's still there. My worst nightmare is to lock somebody in that hospital overnight. And so, I go through every floor, and that night I started off at the very top, went all the way to the basement, and in the basement, I just remember going into an area where priests and where the doctors had like overnight area where they could stay. And in that area, it just has a very heavy feeling. That's actually where the hospital has been breached and broke in several times. There's been occult rituals performed down there through break-ins. And so I was down there already kind of feeling a little strange. And I remember seeing an extra shadow. There were two of us, and we were going through, the space, and all of a sudden there's three shadows. We made like, obviously we pointed out, we were like, what's up with this shadow? And I remember like trying to go into different areas, like lights, to try to get rid of that shadow. And it didn't really go away until we were walking up the stairs to leave. And then I guess it was just like, this is my place, I'm not going with you. And that was it. But that stayed with me. Like, I'll sometimes even like in a dream, like see an extra shadow,
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was another instance where we were on the first floor, and there were these mysterious like stones that were being thrown at us. Like there was a moment where we heard something, and it sounded like a pebble, and we found it, and then we hear another one coming toward us. So that was really, really strange. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was like the nurses area.
Yeah. So yeah, there was the nurse right at the nurses area. Like we were investigating there, and standing in that area and being throwing these they were actually little pieces of concrete that we have no idea where they came from.
Yeah, it was strange, and it didn't come like from above. It was like falling from the ceiling. It was like projected toward us, which was really, really eerie, really strange, and really startling. But I will say that probably like a really significant moment is one that we share on the tour, and it was a communication session that we had with a postulant nun. So it was a nun who was like on her way to becoming a full nun. And in this communication session, she had revealed that in her lifetime that she was being abused by a priest. And it was really heartbreaking to hear her story. And we found out that she didn't even die at the hospital, but she felt like her soul was connected to the hospital. And she felt like her soul and her salvation was connected to the hospital because of that particular priest who had abused her. And so it was a really sad story. It was a very human moment for us to connect with the spirit that was there. And I think, a lot of times people who go on investigations, who are interested in, visiting a haunted property, that it's like, oh, what's the scariest thing that's going to happen to you? But for us, it's always about those human moments that we're able to connect with spirits and maybe provide healing, maybe, learn from them a little bit, and share their stories. And that's what's really, really important to us.
Yes. And that's one of the main reasons, we love talking about you guys, because that's something we always bring up is like, they're not about like big jump scares. They're about like the genuine history and talking, connection, genuine history and connection. It's really cool.
That's 100% what I was just going to say. I feel like she keeps taking everything that I'm about to like mouth and say, and then she beats me to it. But no, I love that about it though. Like about you guys is 100% that, and I think it makes it that much more special because we love to talk to people and hear their stories that are definitely more spiritual. It's not always scary, right? Sometimes it's life, and it's things that have happened, and it's things that leave these imprints, and sometimes we're fortunate enough to hear those stories, so we really got to show respect to them in that way. So I think that it's so beautiful what you guys do, and yes, that's 100% why we love you guys.
We love you too.
No.
Yeah, we really just wanted to do this so we can like look you in the face and say we love you.
Thank you guys. We're always fun meeting with you all.
Yeah, we're here for it.
I do think that talking about your experience with that nun is a great kind of segue to get into our experiences there at the tour. Because I will say I didn't feel a lot until the very end. And it was actually when I was with you, Fred, we were walking through that chapel space, and you were kind of like, I think you asked me something like, do you feel anything, or what are you picking up on? And I got really like freaked out at the end because I felt a like heavy male spirit that was like just kind of malevolent. And yeah, that was like really the end of that tour was really when I started picking up on things. But throughout it, I think for me, it was just like, I wanted to see if I could, experience anything or pick up on anything, because I don't always. And, I feel like Leah is usually more sensitive or like open to it, you know. I want to talk about your session though with the what did we do? We did the Estes
the
method.
Estes method with you
Estes
guys.
method.
Yeah. One, it's so cool that y'all offer that on the tour to give people the opportunity to test out these little ways to paranormal investigate. Because we've said it 1,000 times, we're not investigators, right? Like we showed up with our 2 little devices and y'all were like, oh, here you got, we got dowsing rods, we got things for the Estes method and all these other things. So I was like, oh, this is,
EVP report.
yeah, I was like, oh, this is like real deal stuff.
EMF detectors. You had like a duffel bag. It's like, ooh.
Yeah, a Barney bag full of paranormal investigating tools, and it was amazing. So thank y'all for doing that. But it was my first time, our first time doing Estes method, and also our first time with dowsing rods. So I thought that those were really cool moments. So yeah, I think the first one was the Estes method in the church, or the chapel. Yeah. And that was interesting because Bethany wasn't really getting a lot. And I think one of the main ones that sticks out to me is the heat that I was feeling. And I think at one point I was saying like my face is hot, my feet are hot. And Fred, you made a really interesting comment about the oil fields and being really close and maybe some of the patients that they had.
That makes sense. Yeah. I find that chapel really interesting. You go in and there have been hundreds of people who have like been praying for their loved ones, in a place of desperation, in a place of, scared, just being truly afraid of losing somebody. And when you think of like what that leaves behind, like, these impressions, like, could we step into somebody's pain for a minute and feel our face get warm? Can we, I think that it makes sense. Like, we're empathetic people as humans, and when somebody is suffering, when we see a tragedy going on in the news, like, often we feel for that. And I think that makes sense, that it's easy to pick up things in a chapel where so many emotions have been felt.
Oh yeah, definitely. So that was a really cool moment. Although I did not pick up on Zach Bagans and him taking off his shirt, because let's also point out that is the space where Zach Bagans
took off his shirt.
Yes, I'm sorry that didn't come through.
Oh my gosh.
But it's okay. It's okay. That's not the only reason we went. Although you guys do shout that out on your tour as well. You also, kind of point out, and I think was it Portals to Hell? I think another group that had been there, right? Yeah. So, that was really cool as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is an iconic episode, an iconic scene, and you almost have to mention it because it's just so good.
Sure. Yeah.
So good.
Oh my God, it's so Zach. But then, I remember, I think Fred, you put the headphones in after a while too, right? And
sure,
you were like spitting stuff out.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, picking up on the things,
Sure.
Does that happen to you? Like, I don't know, when you do that with your groups, does that happen to you like frequently, or is it up and down, or?
Like, I tend to not do Estes, too much with people. Like, every now and then I'll do it. And sometimes it's really, really profound. And sometimes it's, it's funny. And sometimes it's a mixture of them. Sometimes it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just random words that I think are just, coming from the radio station, down the street, but I'm not sure.
See, and I was kind of thinking that too for a little while. I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm just picking up on little things, but it was when you made the oil field comment, and I think the experience that Bethany had at the end, because we were also doing Estes method at that point, where I apparently answered some of her questions, and it freaked her out. I just remember like hearing her like, nope, I'm out of here. And like a mini scene took place. And I was like, what's going on? So I'm really kind of, if you recall any of that event, I'm really kind of interested in hearing how it played out from the other side. Cause even after we left, she was just like, nope. Like, I didn't like the feeling, and I don't like what happened. So if you recall, what was that experience like on y'all's end?
I don't even really remember the questions, to be honest.
I am trying to remember all of that, and
it's been a long time, so no.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so no, I totally remember this. I have always felt that those confession booths are creepy, you know, like even like from a child, not even like confession booths in general, you know, just, and I do remember that. And I remember feeling heavier. I remember kind of like getting heavier in the air, almost just feeling like less breezy in there. Like, and when I explain that, like there's obviously lots of like holes in the ceiling in different places, and so you feel air coming through. But I also remember at that time it just kind of got stale and it didn't really move very much. So, you know, it almost seemed like male energy, a little bit. I don't know if oppressive or angry or stubborn, perhaps, but I felt that.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, because that's what you experienced, that heavy male feeling. I didn't really feel anything. But I was separated, right, and kind of in the moment of sharing the words, and I do remember the questions very vividly. I remember my answers, and my answers were like behind you and things like that. And Bethany at the time was apparently asking, like, are you like, where are you standing? And she said that she felt something behind her. So when I said behind you, she was like, look at this.
Right on.
Like, I'm fucking out of here. So I found that really interesting. And I can't remember the other one, because I remember that one because that's the one that made Bethany like bolt.
Yeah, that's really the main one I remember too. Was I felt like there was something behind me, like waiting to go, like boom. Or something.
Yeah.
Or like it didn't want me there, you know, and it was just kind of like
I maybe even waiting for us to leave, you know. Like it's time to get out.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, it really was, though. You were wrapping it up.
Yeah. It was consistent.
Yeah, you were like, you got like 5 minutes, ladies. Hurry up. Come on, we're tired.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Y'all have to do that scary walkthrough all by yourselves at the end of the night. I was like, yeah, okay, have fun. Bye.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
you know, I actually love that walkthrough. I love doing that walkthrough because it's like this rare moment of just being with the building, feeling it, and it's usually very kind to us. Like, you know, usually nothing scary happens. Occasionally we hear things, but there's almost like this, the building has a little bit of respect, knowing like, hey, they're just locking up, and you feel that, like you almost feel a little bit of safety within it, like knowing this is it. You know, I'm going home for the night. A relief.
Yeah. Everyone's happy to part ways.
I feel like that totally makes sense, you know, because sometimes, like, you know, we have those feelings of like this house or this area or this something is calling to me, you know, with that energy. And then, you know, you've been there so many times, they know what you're up to. And it's just a nice, smooth transition out. That totally
it's almost like an agreement. Like it feels like the building very much like has a life to it, and there's an agreement like, okay, we're here to share your stories, we're going to do our thing, remember, it's the same thing that we do every time, and we're going to get out of your hair and you don't have to worry about us for a couple of months.
That's awesome.
Plus, y'all are always so, you know, respectful. You know, you're not there, you know, I don't know, stirring up the pot, you know, or like doing those satanic rituals that people break in and do, you know. I doubt that the ghosts appreciate them.
Yeah, that's we always try to stress with our guests, because they, you know, they see TV shows, and you know, I you know, Ghost Adventures is kind of notorious for it. But you know, we don't want to share with our guests that they should be, you know, antagonizing anything. We always say that whenever you're going to a haunted property, you're going to want to imagine you're going to your grandma's house. You're going to want to treat it with respect. You're not going to want to steal anything. You're not going to want to make your grandma angry in any way. You know, you're going to want to be nice. And that is how you get positive responses. Because, you know, doing what we do and going into haunted places like this, it can be kind of dangerous. You know, if you open yourself up in a negative way, you can get negativity in response, and not in like you're going to get possessed and it's going to be really evil or bad, but when you give out negativity, you can get that negativity back, and it can affect you in certain ways.
That's interesting. That I'm curious. Have y'all had anybody? Like, have you ever found anybody in the tour like doing something disrespectful or antagonizing, and had to kind of say, "Hey, no, you gotta get out of here with that"? Or like, have you had any moments like that in this location?
Yes, we have had some. Most of it's been pretty good. People get it and, are decently behaved, but we had an issue where, somebody was just really drunk throughout the tour,
Oh, okay.
and that
Yeah.
can happen. And they had a spiritual event happen that was kind of scary for them, and so that's why we kind of warn people that it is a real place. There are weird things, we can't explain everything, and sometimes when you go in with that not quite respectful attitude, weird things happen that we can't always explain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually the spirits, like, I feel like they deal with it like that. The worst of it was just kind of like them having to deal with it themselves and freaking themselves out. That I think the building in a way keeps things kind of safe.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I like that. Because I think to the points being made, like, I didn't feel, even when all that stuff was going down through the Estes method and stuff, like, I wasn't really like, it wasn't an easy feeling. Like, you feel things here and there, but I guess, kind of safe or not. I don't know. I didn't really feel like I had to be like looking over my shoulder or anything like that.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I felt throughout most of the tour, and like, even when we were released onto our own, me and Leah, like, immediately tried to get away from people and go to like the deepest, darkest corner.
Yes.
And try to see if anything would happen, or if we would hear or pick up on anything. And pretty much the whole time I felt pretty chill until the very, very end in that dang chapel. It was that room behind like the podiums and stuff, like where like what are those called? I don't remember, like where
like a sacristy, I think. Sacristy.
Yeah, those rooms were creepy.
Yeah, that's when it
There
really
was a
hit,
weird
and I was like,
feeling,
ooh, I shouldn't be here.
Yeah, like maybe we should have
for
gone
sure.
into those rooms, and
I feel that way, like upstairs in the nuns area. Like, I know I'm not really welcome.
That was an interesting place to sit too, in the nuns' quarters, or like in that area. We met some people up there, and we were just kind of talking, like listening, and just kind of waiting for things. And it was just a feeling for sure.
It was an interesting space for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked it though.
What is that room with that cage in it again? Like, because I know the cage wasn't like actually.
So it's not part of the property. Mm-hmm. It was, I think it was a Dewitt County jailhouse, and they got rid of a whole bunch of these things. And I know Yorktown Museum got one, and another one is there at the hospital. The owner was offered to them, and they love old cool things, so they're like, yeah, let's take that jail cell, and it found a home there, and I think that it has energy to it, so it's like a weird, like, this has a different energy, but yet there's still some kind of spiritual something there, but it is different from a hospital.
I think really too, again, the tour just being really awesome, the experience. I don't know if like it's a place I want to go back to. I feel like a part of me does, and like maybe we do it again, like private or something. But then I'm like, nah, we're probably okay. Like, I think towards the end of the day, I think we got some good stuff, and I think we'll walk away and say, thumbs up, Yorktown.
Two enthusiastic thumbs up. I think that's a great kind of segue to kind of talk about you guys and your podcast and what you're doing, because Yorktown isn't the only haunted place you guys go. You experience haunted places all around. So can you chat with us a little bit about some of the places you visited?
When Stephen and I got together, we realized, we really like to travel. We love ghost stories. We love folklore. And so it really got us, like, every single trip that we planned together, like, to theme it, and so, really for about 10 years now, we have just been, every summer, every fall, every winter, like any chance we get, we're trying to see something, whether it's a cemetery or a national park or, place of death and destruction, we're there, we're trying to make our rounds. And I think we're both really interested in dark history because we've grown up in a world that hasn't always been easy, and we've seen fighting, we've seen all those kinds of things in our lifetime, and to think like maybe we could learn from this, and maybe we could turn the corner and do better. And so I think that's what's really attracted us to ghosts, to darkness, is doing better, And so we started a podcast just about those travels and about, trying to tell these dark stories of where humanity didn't do a great job.
Yeah, and I think like the 1.0 of our business was the tour. Doing tours, we recognized that particularly in our city, there wasn't a lot of people talking about some of the dark stuff that happened here, and there was a lot of stuff that happened here.
Oh yeah.
And when it comes to like the indigenous trauma that happened here, when it comes to just different people, the erasure of different stories, women's stories, our red light district. And so for us, when we started our tour company, it was like, okay, these are the things that we need to talk about. And now it feels like an expansion of the tour company that we get to have this podcast and travel to different destinations and almost do like a mini tour. And share, okay, these are the things that you can experience that are not just, related to the ghosts and paranormal, but some really messed up stuff happened here. And we can learn from that. And it's really important that we talk about this stuff. So we're in the middle of season 1 right now. And Yorktown is part of one of the episodes. So we have an episode that is a cluster of small towns. And so Yorktown is included in that. And so we get to tell a little bit about our experiences with Yorktown, some of the history there, the origins of the city, and other places as well.
That's really awesome. No, I'm really enjoying the podcast. Again, you guys do a really great job of telling the story, giving that background in these really like digestible pieces. Like it's not, and it's entertaining and it's good. No, it's really great. Like the formula you have set up is really fantastic. And I know we can't wait to hear more about it. And like, it's true. We're always telling people, like, if you're in San Antonio, if you're in the area, like, go do a tour, check out Curious Twins, because y'all just do a really great job of storytelling and keeping the facts, and yeah, it plays out. So
yeah,
another 2 thumbs up.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, and thank you for like the references, because we have gotten people from Austin come and do our tour and tell us that they know y'all and they love y'all. And we're like, we love them too.
It's working.
It's so exciting. Like, we met you guys because of community and our friend TK.
Yes.
That's how we learned about you guys, and so I think it's just always great, like have these communities even in 2 different cities and how they intersect, and it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yes. That's why we're always down to work with you guys, talk with you guys, whatever it is. Because it's just always been so great and welcoming, and it's always a good experience. So yeah.
You 2 are amazing. We're always inspired, and we always love laughing along with your episodes. So thank you guys.
Thanks. We're just ding dong,
I love it. I love it. You put a smile on our face every single time we hear you guys. It's great.
Well, good.
It's working.
Being a ding dong pays off sometimes. Awesome. I mean, I think the last thing really is just tell people, again, where to find you, all of the things that you do, and
what's coming up,
what they need to get to doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So you can find us on our website, CuriousTwins.com. You can book any of our tours there. And then also we're on social media. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and we're on TikTok. We're trying to grow our TikTok a little bit. And then also, if you're looking forward to the Halloween season, we of course have a whole series of tours, investigations, and events going on, including drum roll.
I can't do
it. So every September we have Paranormal Fest at Victoria's Black Swan Inn, and we typically have the date around the anniversary of the Battle of Salavo, which took place on the property there. So this year it is Saturday, September 16th, and it will include an amazing market of spooky vendors We'll also be showcasing local and regional paranormal investigative teams, podcasters like you guys. And then, there's a great lineup of speakers that we have going on that night. And so we're really excited to have Ryan Buell this year, Sarah Lemos, and then also Paranormal Putas are going to be speakers. If you haven't heard. So we're really excited to have you guys back as well. People really respond to you guys, and they love hearing what you have to say.
We also, this year, we have a women in the paranormal panel that we're super excited about. We have a lot of Latinas on this panel. We have just it's a really good lineup. I think it'll be really interesting. And we always try to highlight, women in the paranormal, Latinas, our community in general, trying to, bring light to those who don't always get that time on stage. And so it's always something we try to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. No, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really awesome. We need more of that for sure. That's a big focus for us as well. So it's been so awesome working with you guys and so cool. Thank y'all for incorporating us in that. I mean, to see our name along some of those other names is just so crazy. We're like, what the fuck is happening? like we still think they asked the wrong people. I don't think they know really who we are.
I think what inspires about you guys is that you've done this for 3 years now, and it's so consistent. It's so magical. It's so funny. It's just something that we value, and we've learned a lot. Just from listening to your podcasts. Just on a lot of different things. So we appreciate it.
And it's real. It feels real. It doesn't feel fake at all. It's exactly what we strive for in our business, in our tours, in our podcasts.
Yes.
It's just real.
Yeah.
Yes. Not for that. Real recognize real, y'all. Real recognize real. That's what we do.
I think it's so cool that you guys, you have such a huge platform and that you use it to lift other people up too. Because, not everybody really does that. And I think that's just so cool that, you build that community and you help lift everybody else up, So it's badass.
Oh,
thank you.
We are so grateful for such a badass community. Yeah, that's what makes it fun for us. We just, we're really grateful. We have a great community, and one of the cool things is we get to hear these stories all the time, and that keeps us going. It makes us really exciting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. What better way to spend a Sunday afternoon than talking about ghosts and abandoned hospitals? And it's just a hoot. Why wouldn't we want to do this every day for the rest of our lives?
Right.
Well,
awesome.
Fred, Stephen, thank you guys again so much. We appreciate your time and the amazing tour.
We appreciate y'all. Thank you all so much.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Thank you. But yeah, like I said, at the end of our interview, I didn't really feel anything until the end. And it was in that fucking chapel area, that little cathedral. And I felt like there was the presence of a male energy that was just so mean and just angry and just didn't want us in there. And I had to get out of there real fucking quick, man.
Yeah, no, it was pretty brutal. I think for me throughout, right, like we talked about, I think I had a couple more experiences, but it really was the end for me because seeing Bethany respond the way that she did once we left those confessionals, I was like, dang, something must have happened because nothing shakes Bethany. She cannot be shook. Lies. But she was shooketh, so I was like, oh dang, something brutal happened. So I'm a little bummed that I didn't get to hear the answer happen in the moment that it did, but also pretty cool that I was conducting it, right? I was its vessel.
Yeah, it was really cool. That I think was probably the best part. And then of course we had to go, and I was glad to go. I was like, fuck this. We got in the car and I did Florida water and was yelling and shit. I was like, you can't come home with me. I was like, yeah, that shit was fucked up, man. I did not like that energy in that confessional area.
Yeah, no, it was pretty brutal. But I think it did I feel like when we left it too, we kind of said very quickly, it feels okay. We feel fine. Nothing came with us. We're good. So that was also pretty interesting. Whatever's there is definitely going to stay there. I'm sure unless you fuck around and find out. But we're not the one.
It ain't gonna be me, baby.
Not today.
So, good times. Good times at Yorktown.
Yeah, it was a great time. I think it was probably, I feel like our investigations get more and more exciting every year. And this one was awesome because 1, Ghost Adventures location, 2, Curious Twins Adventure, and it was just awesome overall. It was just a good time, and we got to explore a really cool abandoned building, and that was an experience in itself.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I give it, we got to rate this baby, yeah? Or no?
Shit!
We're going to rate it?
Shit!
Let's rate Yorktown.
Let's do it.
I'm going to give Yorktown investigation 4 claws up.
Bro! You read my mind. You're on my brainwave. I was going to give it 4 claws up as well. Because it was just a great time.
Yeah.
I think it would probably be a 5 claws if it was like, shit my pants terrifying or something. Or like we got like some insane fucking evidence.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And some people even said, like, maybe doing it with a tour, like if we went solo or with a smaller group, maybe we could find something more. But, again, I'm not about to fuck around and find out. So
yeah, no, I was glad to do it with a tour of other people. I don't know, just being in that whole place alone is probably really creepy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, 4 claws, baby, all the way up. If you're around or have the availability or want to travel down to Yorktown, we definitely encourage you to do it.
Yep, do it to it.
Oh, yeah, it's haunted.
Big sister,
what's up?
My tummy hurts.
It's probably because you ate 10 pounds of Cheetos.
But you know what that means.
I think we need a cleanse.
Let's do. Take a big deep breath in. Release that mother sucker out. You are cleansed.
I feel it in my bones.
Batch. It's been a time. It's been a time. Anyways, thanks everybody for hanging out with our little silly goose butts.
Oh yeah, and maybe we should remind people that you should come see us at the San Antonio Paranormal Fest.
Oh yeah, that's like this weekend, bro.
Yeah, man. If you hear this and you're in Texas and want to come down to San Antonio, we'll be there.
If you want to see this shit show live,
come check it out.
Check it out. But until then. My name's Bethany.
And I'm Leah.
And we're signing off with 2 besitos.
From these putitos. Party.
Give me more Cheetos.
Okay.